Hello, thank you for joining us. Okay, good evening. While I wait my co-host, my name is Sophia, and I'm a member of the Wondiva global community. You are joining us live on Instagram today, Saturday, the 7th of October, 2023. We're going to be talking about loving God in life's disappointment. Hi, finally, welcome, Mora. So, I think I can add you. Okay, I think I can add you now. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Sorry, I have a bit of cold, so my voice isn't really. Thank you, Shara, for joining. Good to have you here. All right. I'm joining you live here from Lagos, Nigeria. This is Wondiva Global Community, and you're welcome to our weekly Girlversation show that comes up every Saturday here on Instagram. Joining me today is Mora. Mora, nice to have you here. I want to believe your week has been great. I hope you can hear me. I don't seem to hear you. Cannot seem to hear you.
Good evening.
Oh, finally. Good evening. You're welcome
Thank
to
you.
today's show, today's conversation. And it's good to have, finally, we're in the month of October. Thank God for January to September, how He has taken us thus far. I have a little bit of cold, so my voice may sound, or is sounding different.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry about that.
Thank you. So, how's been your week?
Ah, quite eventful and uneventful at the same time.
Okay, thank God
Just
for that.
been there. Yeah, thank God.
Okay, so permit me to share. I want to copy the link so I could share it on my. Still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Okay, all right, so that's fine. Hold on, give me a minute, please. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm back. So yes, want to thank God for everything He has done so far in this year, 2023, and how far He has brought us. So, Today's topic is quite interesting, and well, spirituality Saturday. We need to talk about God and the fact that we're supposed to keep loving Him even when things don't go the way we want them to go. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. This is a difficult topic for most Christians, especially people who have lost loved ones, people who have not had things go the way they want them to go. I'm sorry, there's a little bit of background noise. Let's just bear with me. People that probably go through some kind of stuff that they feel like God has disappointed them, God doesn't love them, God doesn't care for them, God isn't mindful of them. But is that really the case? I don't think so, because we know that Romans 8:20 says rather, all things work together for good to them that love God and those that are called according to his purpose, right? So these may not basically go the way you want them to go, because even Jesus said in the book of Matthew that we should, you see Matthew, I think it's John 16:33, about we should remember that we're going to have trials and tribulations, but we should take heed. Are you still there, Mora? Mora, it seems like, oh well, I think we lost her connection. So, well, that we should take heed, that we should be of good cheer, because in life we're going to have a lot of tribulation. So this Christian journey is not really going to be short of trials or tribulations, because it's part of what we signed up for. We say we are Christians. So, but many people believe that once you give your life to Christ, you have signed up for a rosy journey. Everything is just going to be smooth. You don't have any welcome. I think your network took you away, so I saw it jammed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Yeah. Welcome back,
Thank you.
Mora. All right. So a lot of people feel like, oh, when I give my life to Christ, it's going to be a rosy journey. All things are just going to be great and awesome. But you see, Jesus told us himself in John 16:33 that we should, in life, we are going to face trials, we are going to face tribulations, but we should be of good cheer, because he has
Thanks
overcome
for
the
coming.
world. He has overcome the world for us. So a lot of people give their life to, I said this when you were away, a lot of people give their life to Christ, and like they just believe that everything is just going to be rosy, everything is going to be pleasurable, everything is going to be fun all the way. But they don't even understand that in, in your race to make heaven, because everything we want at the end of the day is to meet with Christ at the end of our lives after fulfilling our destinies, his own plan for our lives. And you cannot basically um, get to the end without fighting battles. So that's why we should understand that there will be life's disappointments. Like somebody who is about to, you have your wedding planned out, and everything is supposed to be going on fine, and then suddenly that engagement ends. So what do? Some people begin to say God doesn't love me. Every other person has married, or every other person in my life is married with kids. But look at me. I'm serving God. I'm spending all my finances in the church. I'm cleaning the church. I'm in this department. I don't miss workers' meeting. I don't do this. I don't, then we begin to look at ourselves like we can determine what would happen to us. We begin to tell God what he should do and why this shouldn't happen to us. And that's where a lot of us Christians miss it, because you can call that pride. So if Christ himself can remind us that we should remember that in this life we are going to have trials and tribulations. We are not going to be short of it. It must definitely come. Disappointments must surely come. But we cannot start telling him, you see, I did this, I pay my tithes, I don't miss this, I don't do that, and we tend to think that our self-righteousness would buy us freedom from trials and tribulations. But you see, the good thing about having disappointments is that when you are disappointed, you get stronger. God, that's the time God wants you to get closer to Him and understand Him for who He really is to you. I just wanted to say praise the Lord. Anyway, we have
Hallelujah.
yes. So that this kind of thing. So I'm just bringing one example. Then somebody else says, "Oh, I'm having a lot of miscarriages. Everybody that got married before me has 3 children, 4 children." But that's part of that person's tribulation. That does not mean that the person will not still have children tomorrow. But that's why Romans 8:28 is there to say that all things work together. So are you seeing those disappointments as working together for your good? So these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves as Christians, as born again Christians, believers. Are we seeing God in our situation? Are we trusting Him in our situation? The Bible says we should trust in the Lord with all our hearts and lean not on our understanding. Meaning that it's not really about you, even when you don't understand. That's what that scripture says, that, oh, Mora, even when you don't understand, trust me. Even when the thing is, you planned it to go right, but it's going like left, right, it's just zigzagging all over the place. Trust me. So God is not, He's mindful of us, and He sees all these things. And the perfect example we'll talk about is Job. I want to leave you to make some comments before we talk about Job and what we can learn from him. All right, so over to you.
Oh, okay. Firstly, my name is Shawa. So I
Ah,
say
you
you will be
said
taking me with tomorrow, so I just had to clear
okay,
the
but I
air.
thought you said you were not joining us.
No,
Oh, it's
that was
Mora
Mara,
that's.
not me.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry.
Okay, well, just to paint a picture, right, of loving God in life's disappointment is, let me say, a 65 or a 70-year-old person that has gone through lives in its stages. And from the very beginning of the person's life, let me say in the person's 15 or 20s, the person, began to know God for himself or herself, as the case may be, and then now has the relationship with Christ. And so now this person is 70 years old and is telling his story to people, maybe his grandchildren, her grandchildren, as the case may be. And then he or she is saying things like, oh, I remember when I was 30, and then I wanted to work at this corporation, but because of certain this and that, I didn't get the job, or then I lost the job. But now look at me, right? I'm retired, I'm doing fine, this and that. As I when that person was 30 years old, obviously that was a disappointment, right?
Exactly.
And so now that the person is 70, the person cannot look back to that time and then see that, oh, if I had not lost that job, I wouldn't have gotten the one I got that made me become who I am today, that I got at 31. And that
Exactly.
person, and that person still believed in God as at when the person was 30, and they was just expecting that since I didn't get this, it just means it is not for me, right?
Exactly.
Because one thing about God and us is that I'm always understanding the facts that anything we want to do in this life, God already knows it before we have done it, right? So when if
Exactly.
God is telling me, or if I am being disappointed by something, I need to understand, because you know that we humans, we have human clock for everything. We expect that probably by the age of 23, we are done with school. By the age of 28, we're married. By 35, we've had all our children.
Setting
Exactly.
dates, unnecessary dates
Exactly,
for ourselves.
exactly. So we've already put all those things in our mind, but then we forget that all these things, a man's life is like a blink of an eye with God, right? Because God has been existing for millennials, so to say.
Yes,
So, and to him, that's like just 2 days, but to us, that's like eternity in a way, because we just look at those days and then we can not imagine how someone can be alive, or how a being can be for that long. And then when you now surrender your all to that being, and then you find out that things are not working for you at the age of 30, you just need to remind yourself at the back of your mind that
exactly.
this being has been before I am, and then will be even after I am no more. So why not
Exactly.
just rest on him? It's the case of, let me say, a child that was born by the parents, and then obviously the parents are mature, they're adults, so they might know so many things that the child doesn't know. And then, okay, this child now is learning to walk, and the child probably hits the head against a chair or something, and the child is now probably feels, why can't I, walk
Mhm.
like you're saying, like every other person around me? Look at people of my size, they're walking, right? But then I'm not. But then the parents is not even bothered, because they understand that you have to try so many times before you can start
Yes,
walking. You have to
yes,
crawl and fall, you have to stand and fall, you have to
exactly.
take 2 steps and fall before.
Exactly.
Exactly, but then the parents would not now tell, at least I believe that good parents will not now hit the child or tell the child that, I see your mate, your 9 months or your 10 months, and then you cannot walk, and then your mate, that something like that. No, because they will still love that child irrespective, and understand that, okay, this child's time probably is different. And
Exactly.
it's the same way the child will still go back to the parents, and then the parents will still welcome this child. And that is how it is with God when we have disappointment. It could be probably you fail the course, and then you're having to receipt for the course, or probably like you've been given so many examples. You lost a job, you've already planned for your wedding, the groom did not show up, things like that. And
Yes,
then it's not a case of, should you not be thankful that you lost that thing, rather than, let me say, 15 years down the line, you're regretting making that
that
decision.
choice, right? Yes,
That is something that, but then the thing there is that we don't always see it until we are in a much better place than we were at that point.
exactly. Exactly.
So, regardless of every situation that we are in, we just need to remind ourselves that, okay, when I was younger, this math that I could not solve, I was tackling with 1 plus 2 in courage. Like, it was so difficult. I felt like the world was coming down. But then I entered primary school, and then I saw that 1 plus 2 is simple now, right? And then you started to solve 2 plus x equals to this in primary school, and then you entered secondary school, and then found out that, oh, this thing is so cheap, right? We only get to see the beauty of the process long after the process has occurred.
Exactly.
And but then we need to remind ourselves, and then we need to remember that all through the process, the factor that remains constant is God. And then the factor that will make the process worthwhile at the end of the day is God.
Yes. Okay. It's okay. Thank you so much, Sarah. You really, broke down some occurrences, and not just occurrences. You explained how people don't even many of us don't understand that we could along the way go through disappointments. But you see, how you respond to the circumstances of life matters a lot. That was why I said, uh, later on during our session, we'll talk about Job, and even Joseph. You know, these are people that we read about. But you see, like I was having a conversation with my spouse one day, and I was like, do you know when you look at Job, what Job went through, you can't fathom it. Do you somebody losing all his children on the same day? It's not something that anybody would actually face and still remain alive. I think that's just the worst occurrence I've heard, and well, we were not there, so we just read about it.
Yeah.
And I begin to wonder, how did Job cope? How did his wife even cope? She had had so many children, and they all died on the same day. There was no one left. And reading the book of Job, you see how Job was unhappy. He kept asking God questions and all of that. But the good thing about Job was that the Bible says that Job recovered all and he had more. So because God is not an author of confusion, remember that it was even the devil who came to meet God and said, okay, I want to tempt Job.
Yeah.
To show us that temptation in the New Testament, the Bible says temptation is not from God. And the temptation that even you face, even I face, he says, he has made a way of escape for you. These temptations, even in a way, refer to the kind of circumstances and disappointment that we face. So God is aware of our capability, each and every one of us. He knows what we are capable of facing. He knows what we are capable of going through. He knows how capable we are to go through stuff. And he would definitely not give you anyone that is above your capacity. That's the reason why that's the reason why he made a way out for Job. And the final throw was when his wife came and said, curse God and die. But he didn't. That should have been the throwing in the towel, and then he would have just died. But Job
Right. And
just
then it also matters the people that we have around
thank
us when we are going
you.
through things. Because like
Yes.
you just made mention of his wife now. It's like, that's why in this life you need to marry well, right?
No, why I would not say marry well is that you don't know what she was also going through. She was frustrated. Now he was someone that people couldn't even come close to. So what is the essence of you still asking God questions? Why not just curse God, regret that you ever serve him, and die? But no, that wasn't Job's option. That's something for us to learn. Some of us, in a way, we would not curse God, but all these kind of questions, why me? Am I not serving you enough? We think that it's our service actually that could stop life's disappointment. So that's where I cannot really speak for somebody who might have lost a loved one, because yes, because I don't, there are different kinds of, there are different categories of loved ones.
Yeah.
Someone who has lost a parent, that's a different kind of, someone who has lost a child, that's a different kind of pain. Someone who has lost a spouse, that's a different kind of pain. So if you may not have lost any of these categories, you might not really understand what the person is going through. So that's why the Bible tells us in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 3 that we should encourage others with the encouragement we receive from God. At different points in our lives, people will not even have the best words to encourage us. You get my point? People might not have like someone who loses a child. How do you want to encourage that person? Someone
More
who
so,
loses their spouse.
especially if you've not experienced that kind
Yes,
of
that's why I
pain that the
said
person is
we
going
cannot really
through.
speak about how people
Yeah.
would react to their disappointments. All we can tell them is that all things work together for good. And let us believe that if the same God who has told us in Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, and he's going to give you an expected end. This may not have gone the way you want it to go, but God is still God. I want to trust him in this disappointment. I want to believe that he knows what he's, and I believe that he can see me up there from heaven, and that he's mindful of me. So that's why I'm not going to speak for all the categories of people. I know how I felt when I lost an aunt. I didn't, and she was like so close to me, and she had gone through a lot trying to have children, and she didn't have her first child until 27 years after her marriage. And
Oh,
after having that child after 27 years, she was to have the next almost 29 years of marriage, and she died. And I I did not, I was not myself. It was like I was losing my mind. I said, God, how can this happen? We were just about to celebrate the arrival of twins after 29 years of marriage, and she dies. And I'm like, it was something I could not, nobody could understand my pain. Now I'm not, I'm just like a daughter to her. Imagine how her spouse would have been feeling. Imagine how those of us that are closer to her might be feeling. And it's something that till tomorrow I'm like, if only I could reverse time. That's how you keep feeling, and then the years just keep passing. But you see, in all of this, I just keep looking up to God and trusting Him that all things work together for good. I cannot wake her, I cannot bring her back. I wish I could. I wish I could change. That's how I felt at the stage, at the early stage, because I'm like, I can't, we were full of regret. Maybe she should have not tried to have children. There were so many things I kept saying, because I was just looking for a way to encourage myself that this was not just happening. This is just a dream. This is not real. But it happened, and this is 3 years after that occurrence happened. But God is still God. He's still on the throne. He's still there, and there's nothing that we can do about that but just to keep trusting Him and trusting His word. So, life's disappointment. I remember, let me just share something that happened to me, and I think that's the only time I felt so unhappy. And I'm like, I usually have, I had a very difficult first pregnancy. I had to stop going to work. I'll be hospitalized. It would be very terrible. So because of the fear of childbirth, I was saying I was not ready to give birth again to a second child. I wanted to take my time and be sure that I was really ready to have a second baby. And I was like, I prayed, I kept believing God that, well, for my second pregnancy, by the grace of God, I won't have what I had again. I'll be fine, and I won't be hospitalized. Everything will be good. And so 3 years after, I'm like, okay, I think I'm ready to have a baby. So I said, well, let's try. So we tried, and 2 weeks into I think 2 weeks into the pregnancy, first week I was fine. I think second week I would be feeling funny and all of that, just normal pregnancy feeling. And then all of a sudden, one day I was busy preparing my daughter for school, and then I fell down. I'm like, what was wrong with you? Why do I feel like this? I felt so weak. I felt this kind of, you know, like I couldn't carry myself. I said, what is going on? I said, I told my husband, I'm like, okay, let's go to the hospital. Let's understand what's wrong with me. So we got to the hospital. The doctor checked me and like, "Oh, you have to do a scan. They want to know, why are you falling down?" They checked, are you bleeding? I said, I'm not bleeding. This was middle of I think February or so. So after going for the scan, they were like, I'm fine. There was nothing wrong with the baby. I know. Oh, it's like you are having severe nausea. You just have to help yourself with it, because if you come to the hospital, we'll give you injection. That's all. There's really nothing we can do for you. There's really nothing we can do for you, and all. So I went home. 2 days after, I couldn't come. 2 days after, I couldn't stand up. If I stand up from the bed, I'll go to the toilet. I would throw up and throw up. I couldn't eat. I was like, God, is this thing happening again? How am I going to cope? How would I survive? But I prayed. I begged. I asked that I didn't want to go through nausea anymore. I didn't want to have this hyperemesis gravidarum. I'm like, look at me. 2 days after, I can't help myself. I'm confined to the room. Once I get up to use the bathroom or to use the toilet, I throw up. Once I get up to do anything, I throw up. I couldn't help myself. I was lifeless. I was without food. It was terrible. And I'm like, God, I don't want to believe this is happening all over again. Where do I start from? I have a 3-year-old. How would she cope? How would my husband cope? He can't leave his job. What do I do? So on a Sunday, I told him, I said, well, I think I have to move to my mom's house. I can't continue like this. I was helpless. I was dehydrated. So I was rushed to the hospital. I couldn't even sit up. I had to go to the hospital. They admitted me all over for 24 hours, filling me up with drip and glucose just to help me and give me some form of strength. I'd eat, I feel like throwing up just for the season. After that, like, you can't continue staying in the hospital. I had to, like, when would they discharge me? They discharged me. And can you believe that the same thing I was running from, I went through it for over 2 months again? And I'm like, dear Lord, I thought I had prayed. I thought you said it was fine. And look at me again. And this time it was even worse. I was confined to a room. I couldn't leave the room. If I go to the bathroom to have my bath, I would lay down. I would go to the bathroom to have my bath. I would lay down all through. I won't be able to bath. I won't be able to brush. I won't be able to do absolutely nothing. It was terrible. And I would cry. I would cry. My daughter would be asking, won't you play with me? Won't you stand up? And I would cry. This is someone that was helpless. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't take care of my child. I was just confined to the bed from February till April. If anybody would tell me that this time I would go through something like that, I would tell them it's a lie, because I was just too sure that this pregnancy was going to be fine. And when this happened, I would cry. I would join Harvester's early morning prayer. I couldn't pray. I couldn't talk. I had nothing inside of me. The only thing I could sip was watermelon. I would just sip the water. That's how I was surviving from morning till night. Then later, I would be able to drink yogurt. That's how I was coping from February till March ending. Just living in a room, going to bath and come back. I couldn't talk. I couldn't tell people what I want because I was dehydrated and I was worried. There was a day that I had a crisis. There was no light. You know how much sometimes in Nigeria, or let's say Lagos, when the weather is very hot, the power grid will suddenly die, and then people would need to have to run your generator. So there was no, the freezer was defrosted. There was nowhere to buy cold drink, and that's the only thing I can sip. I just managed to sip it. I still vomit it, but that's the only thing I can sip. By then, I was having cramps, and you know, cramps in your tummy feels like a miscarriage is about to happen. And my mom was like, she called my husband, called my dad, wherever you are, run and look for this yogurt. This is the only thing she can drink. She's having terrible cramps, and that cramps is a miscarriage. If you don't get something to eat so that the baby will survive, that is the end. And so I they rushed, they drove around the streets, drove around everywhere. They didn't have, like, nobody had cold yogurt, nobody had blocked yogurt. And that was how, you're welcome. You're welcome back, Shewa. I think your network took you away.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
So I'm just sharing my experience, how I experienced something like disappointment when I was pregnant for my second child. And I had actually prayed to God. I said, God, I don't want to have this severe nausea again that will have me confined to a hospital bed. But can you believe that I had it again? And this
Wow.
time it it was worse. I couldn't leave a room. Once I stand up from the bed, I would crawl and throw up until I'm almost coughing blood. It was terrible. If anybody would have told me that I would have that experience again, I'll say, I caused childbirth. I will never give birth again. But that was what I believed. I believed that I was going to be fine. I believed that I would not experience this thing again. But do you know that it was worse than what I experienced before? And I was like, God,
Okay,
I would be
can I ask
crying.
a question?
Yes.
So does that mean now that in your case, because you said you had prayed, right, before
Yes.
you had the child begin, so does that mean that God did not answer your prayer, or your prayers were not, should I say, is sufficient, the right word to use, to cover you for the duration of the pregnancy?
So I believe that God, it was that he didn't answer. He just let what has to be happen. So I believe that my prayer was strong enough to take away that experience, right? But God tells
Yes,
us, no, your prayer is not basically what you need. I will have mercy on whom I'll have mercy. And
yes.
God wanted me to learn. And that's where this story is coming out for people to hear it. And I'm happy that I'm able to share it so that other women can learn from it. Because before, I was able to come out of a room when I was pregnant and even step to the parlor. This time I was confined to a bed from February till March. I have never seen anything like this in life before. Everybody was exhausted. My parents were sad. Everybody was going through stress. My daughter would be crying, won't you play with me? Won't you help me? I'm like, and I would be shedding tears because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't talk. I was dehydrated. I didn't have saliva. I was only sipping watermelon every day. It's something that anytime I share, I begin to shiver because I'm like, how did I go through this? How did we survive? My mom was stressed because she had to take care of my daughter all through. She's the one that will take her to school sometimes. They'll bring her back. We went through a whole lot for for the 2 months that I was, you know, bedridden. So people feel like
So,
bedridden is when your legs cannot work. Bedridden is like, you are just helpless. You need people to help you. And I'm like, there was a particular day, this is what I was sharing before you went off, a particular day that, when a woman that is pregnant starts to have cramps, that's like when an abortion is about to happen. It's like a miscarriage is coming. So on that particular day, there was no light. Power grid is always dying in March in Nigeria. That's when the weather is so hot. Before you know it, they say power grid or test
God will help us.
what do you call that thing? Transformer has exploded. It's always happening in March when the weather is extremely hot. So I had not eaten, and this is someone that could not even eat. The only thing I was surviving on was sucking watermelon. That was the only thing I could take. Or I would sip a blocked Hollandia yogurt. Thank God for Hollandia yogurt. So I would sip it. That's the only thing I was taking for 2 months. And that, because of the power situation, nobody had blocked Hollandia yogurt. And that's how I started feeling that way. I was screaming. My mom was calling different people, please, you need to run and help us look for this drink. My dad drove through, throughout the entire vicinity so that he would say nobody had blocked yogurt that day. And I was in pain. And if you don't get anything to eat, I may have had a miscarriage. But around 2 p.m., somebody rushed and said, he has found, he has found, he has found. And that was how I was able to drink. I remember crying. I would join Harvester's early morning prayers by 6:30. I would cry. I say, God, you have to rescue me. I can't continue like this. It's not better for you to remove this pregnancy. I don't want again. I'm tired. Remove, let me be normal. I want to be okay. I want to stand up. I want to use my legs. I want to be useful to my husband and my daughter. I'm frustrated. Take away this pregnant. I told my husband, let's go and abort it. I'm exhausted. What is this? I will cry and cry. I don't sleep. I will be awake in the night. I will cry like, God, what sort of pain? Is this one a blessing or a curse? Many things were going through my mind. My daughter cannot, she will be crying, play with me. Won't you stand up? What is it? I'm like, hey, God, I can't explain to this girl that it's because we want to give you a sibling. Oh. I don't know what problem this one is. She cannot understand. But you see, one day, God put a song in my mouth. He put this capable God. And I couldn't speak because I was dehydrated, no more saliva, so I couldn't
Yeah.
really speak. I was singing in my heart. I sang that song for 24 hours, non-stop. I said, God, is there anything that is too hard for you to do? There is nothing that is hard for you. I kept speaking it. Is there anything that is hard? It doesn't exist. There is nothing that is too hard. According to your word, your will for me is that I would. I used fire that day in my heart. I made sure that I said, God, you will rescue. Enough is enough. I want to be normal. Let this pregnancy will not kill me. I will be fine. I started confessing. Hmm. Lo and behold, one Sunday morning, I just told my husband, go and buy yam. Shewa. I ate it.
Wow,
He
to
looked
God.
at me.
Thank
Eh?
God.
You ate? I said, I ate. I said, bring more. That's how I started eating. Before you know it,
Wow.
I was going up and down. I was washing clothes. And that's how God rescued me. So God is faithful. God, I've not put milk inside though. I've not put milk. So God is faithful. He knows that He wants us to see Him in the living. He wants us to see Him in the big picture. He wants us to know that He has not abandoned us whatever the situation is. There's no milk in it, please. So He wants us to understand. Sorry about the distraction. He wants us to
No
understand
problem.
that He's with us, that He's with us in the situation. That's why I had to share this, because anytime I remember that this was a disappointment that turned out to be a blessing, at the end of the day, I'm standing here. The twins are alive and they are growing. That is God.
Praise God.
But if imagine I had manipulated everybody because of the pain, I say, let's go and remove this pregnancy. I don't want again. I'm tired. Would they be alive?
You
No.
know, they
I would have
won't.
cut short. Yes, I would have cut short God's plan. But I said no. Let me just. I sometimes the devil will be saying, maybe this thing will kill you. You don't even know. You are just deceiving yourself. But I had to hold on to God's word. I had to encourage myself. I said, yes, I wanted this pregnancy to be easy. I felt I had prayed and God has heard, and no more pain, no more severe nausea that will lead me to the hospital. But it happened. But at the end of the day, I learned something, that even in the darkest times, God is still there. Did he not listen? He listened to me, but there's a testimony
Yeah.
today. He listened. He's the one that brought that song to me. I kept listening to this. So I put earpiece in my ear. All the things I could not sing, I kept listening. I said, yes, what is hard for you to do? It doesn't exist. I will stand again. I will sing. I will leave this room. I will eat. And before 3 weeks, I saw myself eating, going to the kitchen, washing clothes. These are things that I could not do for more than a month, from the beginning of February till the end of March. Someone that was confined to a room, now going about using the washing machine. If it is not God, then who is it? It was only God, because
Nobody.
we cannot do it by ourselves. So I just want to encourage someone that is listening that no matter what you think, this is just my story. There are many other stories that would encourage you. This is just one of many things that God has helped me in my own disappointments. Feeling like maybe you feel like you failed, maybe you feel like you can't make it again, maybe you've searched for a job and you cannot you've applied for I've seen people that say I've applied for over 500 jobs. I've applied for more than 150 jobs, me that I'm talking right now. I have applied for over 150 jobs. But you see, God is God. He will never leave you nor forsake you if you keep trusting in Him. There are so many situations that the devil will make us feel like the best solution is to commit suicide. The best solution is to end your life. But no, God says, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I love you with an everlasting love. I love you. I love you. He sent forth His Son to die for us. He says, no greater love than this. There's no greater love than the love of God for you. And if you begin to see God in your challenges, if you begin to look at Him, not look to men, you know, a lot of us make that mistake, Shewa. When we are going through stuff, we first of all run helter skelter, right?
Before
Then when we see
we
that,
now go and meet God.
and do you think God likes to be a last option? No.
No, definitely not.
Thank you. So God would not like to be a last option. So we even need to sit up as children of God. So we need to learn that we need to love God. The enemy is deceiving a lot of people now that are committing suicide. Suicide is never the solution, because suicide is even a straight entry to hell. Why would you kill yourself? Because that's the lie of the devil, to make sure that he deceives us to believe that this is the end. Nothing good will come out of you again. That is the voice of the devil. That can never be the voice of God. Imagine Joseph, who was locked up by, locked up in a strange land. Don't forget that his father already believed that he was dead. Joseph still believed that God loved him in all of that. Firstly, his brothers deceiving his father and selling him off as a slave. Secondly, his master's wife lying that he tried to sleep with her and he didn't, and now he ended up in the prison. But God still found Joseph far away in the prison and brought him out to become a prime minister in a strange land. If God can do it for Joseph, I know you will say, oh, that is 2,000 years ago. If God can do it
We
for
still
Joseph,
do
then
it for people
that,
today.
thank you, that God has not changed. The Bible says in the book of Hebrews, Jesus Christ the same yesterday, today, and forever. He doesn't change. The same God that could do this for me is the same God that is doing it for every one of us. He's the same God that is far away in North America. He's the same God in Asia. He's the same God in the Middle East. He's the same God in Australia. He's the same Son. And God is the maker of everything. And if only we love him in our disappointment. You don't know how capable God is, because we don't see him as capable when there are problems. Imagine I looked at God from the beginning of the time I was confined to a bed. Maybe I wouldn't have stayed for up to 2 months. But we'll first of all go round and go round and go round before we remember God. But God's word to us today is, I love you. I love you with an everlasting love. Look up to me. The Bible says in the book of Matthew, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will
Now,
give you rest. You see, any other thing that is negative is not the voice of God. Any other thing that is contradictory to the word of God, that is light, that is a light that is shining and leading, showing us the right way to go, the right direction, the right choices to make, that is not the voice of God. I want to pray and trust God for every one of us that God will help us. We need his help. The Bible says that it's not by
amen.
power nor by might. You cannot use your strength to love God. Shewa, right? You cannot use
Yes.
your strength. It's a
You
conscious
even need the
effort.
grace of God to be able to love
Thank
God.
you, because we have not seen him. We have not seen
Mm-hmm.
God. We were not there when Jesus died, but we just believe that he died for us and that he saved us by sacrificing himself on the cross of Calvary. So that means he loves us. To really understand that God loves us, you have to have an encounter with him. And by the grace of God, if we open our heart, if we open our hearts, we open our eyes, we will find him, we will see him. God has already found us. It's just for us to listen. Remember when he was calling Samuel? Samuel didn't know who was calling him. Some of us, God is speaking to us, but we are closing our ears. We are saying we are not ready. We are not ready to answer because we feel like God has disappointed us. But he's waiting for us. He's calling us, and he wants us to understand that in every situation, I have a plan. I have a plan. And that plan is an expected end. It is not a plan of evil. It is only of good, and is to bring us to an expected end. So Shewa, you can make your concluding remarks as we round up.
Okay, so in conclusion, the things that we need to know, that even as we are loving God in face of life's disappointments, we should not make hasty decisions.
Exactly.
because, like you said, we should not run to other sources and then forget that God is the author and He is the finisher of our faith. So He knows everything even before it happens. We should always
Exactly.
remember that our source, which is God, is the only one that can fix whatever problems or disappointments that we may be facing. And we should
Exactly.
also ensure that as we are going through disappointments, the people we listen to, the people that we seek advice from, will also determine because
Exactly.
they can tell us to go the right way, they can tell us to go the wrong way. So the
Exactly.
circle of people around us also matter. And above
Exactly.
all, I think the most important thing is that we ensure that we truly know God for who He is. So we know when and when not God is telling us to do certain things during the stages that we may be in.
Thank you so much, Shewa. So I want to
Thanks so
thank
much.
God for today's topic. My faith is strengthened, and I'm so encouraged that let's understand that we are in a journey, and this journey, as Christ has told us, is going to be there are going to be trials, there are going to be tribulations, but we should take heed because He has overcome for us. Thank
Overcome
you
the
all for
world.
joining us today. It's always a
Thank you
pleasure
very much.
to be able to talk about scripture, talk about how wonderful God is, talk about who God is, and talk about what plans He has for us. And not only that, why we should stay steadfast to Him, in loving Him no matter what we face. And in all of this, let's understand that God will definitely come through for you. His ways are not our ways. He doesn't want us to try to figure things out. That's why He said, my plans my plans for you are good and not of evil. And He also said that His ways are not our ways. What we are actually thinking is not what God is planning and thinking, and He will do it in a way that He believes is the best for you. So if you'd like to join Wondiva Global Community, send us a message. This is a community of women all over the world. Spiritual we share spiritual knowledge, um everything that has to do with women. And we want to thank God for how far God has brought us. So would like to hear from you. Send us a message, leave a message in our direct message, and let us know where you are, and then somebody would respond to you and let you know what to do. Thank you once again for joining us. Thank you, Shewa. It was such a
Thank you
wonderful
very much.
time
It was
speaking
nice
here
listening to
today
you.
again. Do have a wonderful weekend ahead and a beautiful October. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good
Bye from
night.
me.
Bye.